I think when you're a kid, you decide what you want to do for a living by looking at what your parents do, right? I always thought my dad had a fun job, because every night he came home and celebrated with a bottle of gin. He gets to drink every night. It's okay, he's a pilot. In general, we comedians like chatting with the audience after a show. I've only known a few comedians who want to run right out the door and get away from the crowd. But when you're having a conversation with a comedian, there are a few things that we really don't want you to say to us. Here are a couple of them. Tough crowd or tough show. Yeah, if we've had a tough show, trust me, we know it. There's no need to point it out. And we really don't like people pitying us, which is what this line sounds like. If you enjoyed the show, despite it not being a great one, then just say that. If you didn't like it, don't say anything. But don't pour salt in the wound by trying to commiserate with us. Oh, and sometimes the crowd is tough, but sometimes it's us too, and we're just having a bad night. Next, you're funnier than the other comics on the show. Comedy is subjective, so you may like the MC more than the headliner. It just depends on what you prefer. It doesn't make us feel any better to be told we're funnier than the others, because we know someone is probably saying that to one of the other comics about us. Also, sometimes the other comics on the show are having a tough night. That doesn't mean they're awful. It just means tonight wasn't their night. If you enjoyed a particular comic that night, just say you enjoyed them and move on. Don't compare us to others. Next, I should be a comedian. Now, how would you like it if someone acted like your job was so easy, anyone could do it? Yeah, that's not cool. Just because you're funny with your friends or coworkers around the water cooler doesn't mean you can get on stage in front of a group of strangers and get them to laugh. When I first started out, I told some friends that I'd gotten on stage, and one of them blurted out, "Well, I'm funnier than you." I didn't comment. Yeah, a few weeks later, when she saw me on stage, she said, "Well, what I meant to say was, I'm funnier than you in small groups." Still not a good thing to say. Yeah, the easier it looks on stage, trust me, the harder we've worked to get there. Next, don't make negative comments about our looks. What? Yes, I've had people tell me I'm not that ugly, and I've had people say that I look better off stage than on stage. I've had people mention my looks in more than one occasion. It's weird. Just because we're comedians doesn't mean we don't have feelings. Don't say things you wouldn't say to someone else. Next, do you write your own material? Yes. Otherwise, it's called stealing. Comedy isn't like music, where we could do an hour of Joan Rivers jokes just by saying that we're doing a tribute to Joan Rivers. 99% of the comedians write their own material. Now, sure, famous comedians use writers, but they started out writing their own material, and I can guarantee that they still have a hand in it, with or without the writers. It's our point of view that's the funny thing, not just getting people to laugh. And finally, don't tell us a dirty or racist or otherwise joke in poor taste that we can use. Okay, I know you want to connect with us, but first off, my jokes aren't in bad taste, so don't tell me one that is. And for crying out loud, don't tell me I can use it. See the previous note. I don't use other people's jokes. Ironically, the dirtiest jokes I hear are on the cruise ships by the people over 80, and we're told to be clean. The takeaway from this is, before talking with someone, a comedian or not, ask yourself if you would want someone to say to you what you're about to say to them. Would you want someone to tell you that you're not that good looking, or maybe point out that you messed up a project really big? Probably not, so don't do that to us. That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Feel free to check out my website, theworklady.com. This is Jan. Take care and enjoy your journey.